So hating yourself, disliking yourself, is essentially a result of you misunderstanding the purpose of yourself and the applications of these different faculties that God has given you to actually live your life. Because people, places, and things, especially our environment, may try to get us to look at ourselves like we're ugly. Not intentionally, but for the intention, for the sake of maintaining a certain level of security, material, and safety. Because if you was acting out in certain ways, if you was running around the house and you wasn't listening to your mother, her friends would look at her and be like, look at so and so's undisciplined child. My children are way better. I beat them. I do whatever. X and X and X and X. So our environment, people around us, had to do things to suppress and depress and then take possession of our body and our soul as children or as even growing up, so that because they for them is really like a form of material safety, a form of us creating a safe haven to create an outcome for not just yourself but for them as well, for that self image or that image to be reflected onto them as if they did a great job. Because now look at this child can fit into the community, this child helps his mother and father and things like that. But a lot of the times we do these things from a toxic root, from a place of shame, from a place of guilt. And we start to develop this place of shame, this like internal place of guilt, shame, toxicity, when it comes to us not liking a part of ourselves and misunderstanding how to apply ourselves in the world in real time. Because we're giving these mental crutches in the form of entertainment, music to listen to, religion, certain forms of politicking. Certain, you have the Democrats and the Republicans, and even if, just say, you're black and you're voting for what was it, Republicans, you're voting for Trump or whatever, your own community might look at you like, what is wrong with you? Why are you getting outside of these parameters, these set known limitations, and things like that? But because eventually you're going to have to understand that life is more than about your skin color. Life is more than about your religion. Life is more about than the entertainment you paid attention to your life. See, your skin color doesn't really signify much. Really, what you need to do is identify the mental wave that you're riding as a spirit, because you're riding a conscious wave of awareness, and these conscious waves of awareness that you're riding throughout your body as a form of a sine wave, those are dropping down into particles, thoughts and feelings and things like that. It starts as just a state of mind. Are you in the theta state, beta state, delta state, whatever? And those, once you're in those states of mind, it starts to drop down into particles. It starts to become thoughts and feelings that you actually use to start building your reality and things like that. Now, if you dislike a part of yourself, you hate a part of yourself, then you're actually just blocking a major faculty, a major aspect, a major sphere, whether it's imagination, whether it's rebellion, whether it's death, whether it's passion, whether it's communications. So whatever it be, the area of life that you might have been a very intelligent style and you might understand how to communicate. And this is one of the things that in the Bible talks about him being one of Lucifer's or Satan's names, being called the prince of the power of the air, because him having control of the air, he understood how to manipulate words and logic and things like that. And so a lot of even the creatures in the Bible, like Beelzebub, those creatures that are known to fly and have flight, they're really talking about their ability to maneuver effectively throughout the air, which is air, logic, communication, being a soothsayer, being a word, understand how to use the word and how to reorganize it and reformulate it and things like that, and to be able to express it. So as a child, you might have been a very intelligent kid in that area of communications and things like that, but your mom and dad might look at you, or your school teacher might be able to go, boy, you're too smart for your own good. I need to whack you in the head a few times so you understand how far you can go with that and get away with that. But because at an early age that gets stifled, we start to put that in the back seat. Like for me, for example, I wasn't, from a society perspective, from a man perspective or whatever, I wasn't really allowed to be emotional. But being emotional is really just another code word for you having emotions inside of you, but you not being still to actually be in peace, which allows you to be in tune, which allows you to have intuition and things like that. So as a child, I was put into a situation among people, places, and things that kind of told me or suggested to me that, hey, this is actually a negative thing, and you should actually put this attribute and characteristic about yourself in the back seat, because you want to fit in, right? You want to be part of the boys. You want to hang out in our community. You want to come experience these holidays. Okay, well, these holidays require you to act in a specific mannerisms, because we are, as a group, you know, we want to act the same, as far as, because humans are not much different from animals and things like that. Within the groups of animals and things like that, animals tend to act the same. There might be like one alpha leading the whole group. So you might have, I don't even want to say Jesus is a Christian, but let's just say Jesus was leading, whatever Christians, or the weren't even called Christians back then. First of all, okay, let's say Muhammad was leading the Muslims. Okay, so out of that entire group, there's going to be a head figure that's going to be the tip of the spear, leading things forward. Now, what I'm here to suggest to you is that you too is the tip of the sphere in whatever area that you want to pursue. You are already the tip of the spear in an area already of your life, but because of a lack of recognition of that ability that's inside of you, you actually end up playing out attributes and characteristics, virtues and principles of other people, places, and things, and you let these things kind of take the back seat, and you just choose to not to express these things and bring these things out and let these things be known, as far as, because this is you dealing with your sensory perception. This is you being able to understand how do you individually sense things and interpret information and energies, because how you get to from point A to point B, is not the same as everybody else. Jim Bob might decide, okay, I want to go just drive on the road. Okay, Jim Crow might want to decide, okay, I want to take the highway because this is just the person I am. And so we all manifest outcomes. We all manifest solutions differently. We're not all the same. But if you're put in a situation, most likely most people are put in a situation to dislike themselves and to hate themselves, because when your mother and father hate themselves and dislike themselves, they see that as a normal part of the genome to pass on to their children and things like that. And so there's a lot of unconscious, subconscious phobias and traumas and fears and things like that that are undealt with within the human mind, within the human psyche, that we pass on to our children, thinking that these things are going to protect them, but really you're preventing your children from going from carbon beings to like crystal light beings. And the difference between that is that a carbon being is an entity that operates under the assumption that the flesh is actually life, and this is what it means to be in heaven, and you live your life for this life, and you think you need to wait later in another life to get your desires and things like that. But when you operate out of the crystal light being, where you understand that you are connected to the source, you understand that God has in place a piece of him inside of you so that you can have direct communication with him, but that might be through different mediums and through different channels and things like that. So some people receive information with their heart, some people receive information with their gut, some people are able to see pictures of things in their mind, not as they take place, as far as you being able to sense that, okay, there's this esoteric cloud around this individual, but you may not be able to put a word, but you understand there's this presence of this emotion, this energy that this person carries with them all the time. And so I have friends in my life that are always down, always depressed, always just down, like with the energy signature down. So they're always with Archangel Gabriel. They're always, Archangel Gabriel got to take care of their death. And that's just an allegory to say that they're always down and they don't know how to come up again out of their bullshit and let go of the things that, they're holding them down. But really, what's holding most people down is just their perception and how much energy, how much conscious awareness they added to that thoughts and feelings that they added to that sphere of reality that they now call their perception, or whatever. Because your brain doesn't know, but your brain can't really tell the difference between real life and just augmented reality. So if you can introduce your brain to these factors of actually abundance, of opulence, of riches, of a mental disposition that is peaceful, that is wise, and that is a sound in every turn and direction, then your mind is eventually going to take on those attributes and characteristics. But because your mind doesn't necessarily have an anchor point to see these things, then you start to lose sight of what you can become. You get anchored down, triangle down in your memories, in your waters, in your emotions, which you've accumulated thus far. But you gotta understand how to use your fire element, your purification, because you gotta purify all the shit that you have accumulated, as far as waters. You might have some like bacterial water, some water with some water life forms, entities in it that you need to clear up and get rid of. And so when you're able to use the fire and you're able to purify that water, and you're able to get the steam out of it, which is the logic, the air, okay, the data, what was I supposed to learn from this? Because you're supposed to look at that situation differently now that you're older, hopefully, so you can start to do things and maneuver differently. But you will never reach that conclusion if all you do is just hate yourself, dislike yourself, and never ask why. No, it's not that you don't work. No, God doesn't make junk, and you do work. You're very effective, and you don't even know it. You might just do it in an accident, and your friends might look at you like, damn, how did this person do that? Because how these virtues and principles formulated themselves in you with all these different variables, planetary positions, alignments, numerology in your name, gematria in your name, meridian lines, dragon lines, your geographical location you was born, and how does that which season does that correspond to, as far as spring, winter, fall, and all these things like that. All that makes up your mental disposition, and all that creates your mind, your perception, and whatever you've accumulated in this lifetime, it's just something you're supposed to. It's not like you're supposed to do something specific with it, but hopefully you're able to decode it, understand why your life has been worded this way, why has been framed this way by you, so you can begin to elevate it and help other people who are in less fortunate positions to do this type of pursuit as far as knowledge of self and self-understanding. And so you can be a shining beacon of light, and you can have your testimony, because you don't get a testimony unless you first overcome a test. So never run away from that test, because that test is there for a reason.